Fuck my head. Oh. So you've just bought a brand new Floyd Rose double locking tremolo equipped guitar. Woo! You're keen to rip into it and channel your inner Dimebag Darrell.
Hey man, you got the dime bag right here from Damage Plan.
But first, you got to take it home and set it up. You've been at it, days and weeks have gone by, and you're a blithering mess in the corner, rocking back and forth and questioning your life choices. Now, I think we've all been there. Tackling a double locking tremolo for the first time can feel a lot like wrestling a tone-deaf octopus. In today's vid, I'll give you 5 tasty tidbits to help tame your tremolo. So we're here today with this Jackson JS32, badass King V-shaped guitar with a Floyd Rose or Jackson licensed Floyd Rose tremolo. Now 1, block your bridge. Imagine attempting to do surgery on a trampoline. Not ideal, right? Well, blocking your trem is a bit like putting training wheels on your guitar. It keeps things steady, level, and where you want it while you work. So when adjusting tuning or changing your strings, it won't send your bridge up or down into orbit. It also gives you a reference point in the event you do need to rebalance and reset up your bridge. You'll see more about that in step 2. So how do you do it? 2 ways you can go about it. You can either shove something underneath these bolts, holding it from the top, or flip them around and you can shove something in this part of the cavity here. Simple one, and doesn't cost a lot of money, is to stack up coins. Use them as shims to get your desired thickness and just shove them in the back there. That stops your bridge from pulling up while you're tuning things up. Doesn't have to be coins. Typically use 9-volt batteries. Can use little timber blocks. That's a big one, but just an example. Anything of the correct width to fill that cavity and ensure your bridge sits parallel to the body. So a Floyd Rose works by balancing the tension of the strings, the tension of the springs in this back cavity. So you'll find the bridge is sitting too high or too low, it'll throw that balance and you're tuning off. If she's all out of whack, either sitting high or low, find when you're trying to tune it up, you tune up one string and it'll absolutely trash the tuning of all the other ones. Or you might find it might be down too far into the body and your action or your string height will be all sorts of fucked up. Play like arse and choke notes out. So you can refer back to tip 1 for a Floyd Rose style bridge. You want that base plate to be sitting as parallel to the body as you can. You can use tip 1 to help set your baseline. Changing string gauges, like going from 9s to 10s, will change the amount of tension the strings will be putting on the neck. So to balance that out, you have to either increase or decrease the tension of these springs out the back. Easy, do this with a screwdriver. And you adjust these 2 Phillips head screws here. Tightening them up will increase the spring tension at the back, counteracting the increased pulling force of heavier springs, and loosening them off, lefty-loosey remember, will decrease that amount of tension. Work a quarter turn at a time. So number 3, picture this, you whipped out your Ernie balls and slap them on your guitar. Get ready for a tuning nightmare. So fresh strings love to stretch out in the first hour or so of playing, and every time you touch your trem, it's going to throw everything wildly out of tune. This is an issue that happens on any instrument, not just something with a Floyd Rose equipped bridge. You'll find the strings will gradually continue going flat for a while, and you constantly have to tune it up a little bit. It's just with this sort of system, that effect is especially pronounced. So what can you do about it? That's easy. You just have to speed up the process. Before you do your final tuning, just go through, and give all your strings a good stretch. Just a couple yanks along the length, don't have to go too crazy. But that basically just speeds up that string stretching process. Be like yoga for your strings. Bit of downwards dog. Once you've gone through and done that, get everything back up to pitch again and give them all another tug. Might have to do that a couple times, but keep going till everything tunes up stably and the tuning doesn't shift too much, even after giving the strings a bit of a stretch. Once they're stretched and the tuning stays where you want it, yes, it is a little bit silly, but it'll save you a lot of head fuck in the future. Lock down your nut and you're almost ready to go. So as you may be able to see, on this Ibanez's particular headstock, we've got this retainer bar here. What that does is help keep downwards pressure on your strings as they travel up the headstock and go to your tuner. You might not think it, but the height of this piece of equipment is crucial for your tuning stability and your mental well-being. As you can see, the locking nut slightly slopes down towards the tuning pegs. So what you need to make sure is that the height of the string retainer bar is low enough that the string follows that downward slope towards the tuning pegs. Because if this bar is too high, it will sit off of the locking nut. When you go to clamp your nut pads down, it will pull the strings down and sharpen everything. So if your guitar is equipped with a retainer bar, make sure that's right first. That'll save you a lot of headache. And the second part of this equation is at the bridge end. You might see these little thumb screws. What the heck are they for? Well, they push down on these little bolts which are connected to the saddles. As you crank them down, righty-tighty, they'll push those saddles down, increasing the tension on the string and bringing your pitch up. The opposite also occurs when you loosen them. It'll put a bit of slack on that string and it will drop the pitch. Before you start doing your final tuning, it's a good idea to set these little buggers in the middle of their travel. Once you check your retainer bars all sweet and you lock everything down, you have a little bit of wiggle room to make those final adjustments and get your tuning Mickey Mouse. If you like playing with the fine tuners on your Floyd Rose, you can thank Mr. Eddie Van Halen for that idea. How the hell do you set the intonation on a Floyd Rose quick guitar? Well, it's simultaneously a pain in the ass and really straightforward and simple all at the same time. So you may notice at the front of your bridge, you got these 6 little baby screws. Well, they are what clamp the saddle down to your bass plate. To adjust your intonation, it's simply a matter of unlocking that screw, shifting the saddle back and forth. Now, this is a pain in the ass when everything's strung up and all under tension. You got the force of the strings pulling everything that way. On top of that, the system's floating, and as we've already established, if you throw off that string to spring balance, everything gets thrown off anyway. The shortcut here is there isn't a shortcut. Patience is key. Maybe an extra cup of coffee. What you can do to make your life a little bit easier is to get an intonation tool. It's designed specifically, this one's for the Ibanez Edge. I lost my Floyd Rose one, so I timed that very well. But what that does is it flips to your bridge, and even while unlocking that saddle, this is holding it in place, and tightening or loosening that thumb screw will help pull it backwards or forwards. If you haven't got a fancy schmancy tool, you're just gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. Lock your bridge, it'll make your life a hell of a lot easier. Once again, tip 1, coming in clutch again. Detune the individual string, so you're reducing the pulling force of the string on that saddle. Unlock it, move it a wee bit, lock it back down there, tune it up again, see how accurate your tuning is as you travel up the length of the neck. Repeat 6 times over, and what a bloody legend, you've done it. There you have it. You've just survived a Floyd Rose setup. You don't know how to block the trem to give you a stable starting point for all of your setup shenanigans. Understand the relationship between the string and spring balance. You've stretched your strings, you've played with your locking nuts, and even conquered intonation. Legend. If any of these tips help save you launch your guitar out of the window, chuck us a thumbs up. Let me know which one worked for you. And if you thought it was good enough, hit the subscribe button. Let me know. So as a whole, if these tips help demystify a double locking tremolo quick guitar, and there's a lot of information out there. These are just some little bits and bobs I've picked up in my time faffing about and stuffing up setups and learning to fix them. So it's a good feeling to hopefully help make someone else's life a little bit easier. If you've got any double locking trem tips as well, share them below. Let's teach one another. See you in the next one.